Hello there, Ray here, and what you see behind me is a list of all the mobs in Minecraft that we have organized by how rare they are. We did this during one of our Twitch streams, and today we'll be going over the list and looking into each of the mobs and seeing why they're in each of those categories. And if you guys see any mob you think should be in a different category, please tell me in the comments. The way that we categorize these is we did very similar to that of like Pokemon. So Pokemon have like common, uncommon, rare, and there's some other categories which we'll get to. I thought that was kind of cool because a lot of times people see the collecting of different Minecraft mobs, very similar to that of like collecting all the different types of Pokemon, as the logo of Pokemon is gotta catch them all. So we went through all the different main mobs in Minecraft, and we placed them down here. We also have some commands here which make it so they don't have any AI, and they also remove the noise, as well as make them invulnerable so that way they don't die in some cases. So the very first category here is the common mobs. These are mobs you most likely see in your world day to day. So we got a bunch of passive mobs. We got the chicken, we got the pig, the sheep, as well as the cow, and we also have the rabbit. And these mobs most likely will spawn in any type of biome. You come across them pretty often. Then we have some hostile mobs. We got the zombie, the skeleton, the creeper, and the spider. These are some really common hostile mobs, and also the pigman and the nether. He's very common. Then we have some water mobs. We got the squid, which you see a lot of. We also got cod as well as salmon. Cod show up in many of the different variations of the ocean, and salmon do as well, and they're also in the rivers. So we put these guys in the common category as well. Now the next category is the uncommon mobs. So these are mobs that are just slightly not as common as the first row over here. And a lot of these guys are ones that are kind of stuck to one specific biome or one specific area. So we got the slime, we got bats, which could possibly be considered common. So tell me what you guys think about the bats. We also got villagers, we got llama, horses. This also includes donkeys. Then we have the husk and stray, which are just variants of like the skeleton and the zombie, except they're stuck to their specific biomes. Then we also have drowns here, which you find in oceans. Magma cubes, which are pretty uncommon that you find in the nether. Endermen, which are hard to find in the overall nether, and are mostly just in the end dimension. Endermites, which are only come about through ender pearls, which the player uses. So they're kind of different in that kind of case, but they still seemed a little bit too common to put them into the next category. You also got blazes, which are in fortresses, wither skeletons, also in fortresses. Different variation of the zombie, which is a zombie villager, which only has a 5% chance of spawning compared to the normal zombie. We got phantoms, which are not very common, but they're too common to put into the next category. Also got turtles, which you mostly see around beaches. Cave spiders, which come from spawners. We got dolphins, which are in the oceans, but aren't as common as like your normal squid. Then we have the tropical fish, which are unique because they have a lot of variations of them. But if you don't even get into variations, they're just a little bit uncommon than your normal like cod as well as salmon. So we put them over here. We got some player made ones, such as the snow golem as well as the iron golem. Now iron golems now do spawn in villages, but snow golems still don't naturally spawn. Other than if you get like 2 snow blocks in an ice spikes and then get a pumpkin that would generate right beside it, then it can make like a snow golem. And they're kind of like the endermites, meaning that they need a player, but they're just a little bit too common to put into the next category, so they're in the uncommon category. Silverfishes, which come from like the blocks or the spawner, and we also got witches here, which do mostly spawn everywhere, but pretty rare. Then we also got gas, which spawn in nether, but are uncommon there. Now after uncommon, the next category is rare, and these type of mobs are harder to come across than like the common and the uncommon, and they're really specific to the area where they spawn. And oftentimes it's a treat when you come across one of these. So we got the mushroom, which are stuck to the mushroom islands. We got parrots, which you just find inside of the jungles. We got the illagers, we got the pillager here, which you find like a pillager outpost. Evokers, as well as Vindicators, and even Vex, which you mostly find around mansions. Then we got Guardians, which you only find around the Guardian Temples. Shulkers, which you find in the end cities. We got Pandas, which are in the bamboo jungles. Ocelots, which are just in the jungles. We got Cats, which spawn like in the witch huts or at villages. The Polar Bear, which spawns in some cold biomes like the snowy tundra. Wolves, which spawn in some select locations like taiga. Then we have some jockeys here. And these are like the most common variation of the jockeys. So we got the normal skeleton jockey as well as the chicken jockey. So this one just has a normal baby zombie on top of it. These guys are pretty cool when you come across them because they're kind of rare. Now the next category here is a very small category. This is epic. So this is mostly bosses. So what we got here is the Elder Guardian, which is like a boss inside of the ocean temples. Then we got the Wither, which is the boss that you fight using Wither skulls. Next one here is the Ravager. He comes with the raids. And he is sort of like a boss in himself because he has a lot of attack styles as well as he has some really high health. And also in this epic category, we got the Horsemen. These guys come into the game through the lightning strikes. So there's like a 5% chance that lightning strike will produce one of these guys. So it's kind of like a special event, and then you also have to fight the horseman guy, which is kind of tough because that guy likes to strafe around, and he also normally has like an enchanted helmet as well as an enchanted bow. And the last one is Ender Dragon. I just put it over here because we had a little more room. And the Ender Dragon himself is also a boss. And it's kind of funny, he just has a very small shadow that he puts off, even though he's quite large. Now after the epic mobs, we have the legendary mobs. And these are mobs that are mostly discontinued. So we have is a skeleton horse jockey, which has a stray riding it. And these are discontinued because they now made it so that everything that comes on a skeleton horse will automatically only have a normal skeleton on top of it. They remove the ability for special cases such as this. This is actually possible, and if you're curious how to get these, it is extremely hard. You actually have to break bedrock for the game to naturally spawn these things into the game, which is pretty crazy, and I did a video all about this with Frog, explaining why these things are so difficult to come across in normal survival world, which will be linked down below. Next up is a spider jockey stray. So this is a spider that instead of having normal skeleton on top of it, has a stray. We collected quite a few of these up on the Protect server, and we even captured some of these guys during Halloween, so they have like pumpkins or jack-o'-lanterns on their head. And these guys are also discontinued since they also made spiders only be able to have normal skeletons on top of them now. But you could acquire these like back at 1.10. Then we have the skeleton horse jockey with a wither skeleton on top, and these guys are also discontinued since they made it so that you only can have skeletons on top and not any variations of them, such as a wither skeleton. It was possible to get these in the past, such as what we did on the Protect server by putting in a trapped skeleton horse into another, and once again to another side, opening them up, and then you get a wither skeleton placed on top of a skeleton horse, which is really cool. And on the Protect server, we got these as well as ones with jack-o'-lanterns on top of their head, and even pumpkins. And then you can also get like right or left-handed ones. Now in this list here, we didn't go for any of those other variations, so you don't got anything categorized like as ones with pumpkins or ones with like diamond armor, or if they're left-handed, or like different variations of the tropical fish, or like different variations of the zombie villager, or like horses or llamas with different statistics. So if you guys have any idea how we can categorize those type of things, I'd really love to hear that down in the comments. Now the last category here is the mythical group. You'll notice that all these terms are very similar to the terms that they use for like Pokemon. And in the mythical group, we have all mobs that are unused that you can't obtain in survival. So the first one here is a giant, and you can't get him in survival. And the next one here is the zombie horse, which is looking really cool. Also can't be obtained in survival. Next one up is the killer bunny, and they actually have this name tag on top of them when they spawn. And he was actually introduced in a snapshot where he did come out in survival, but he actually was never able to come into survival in a full release. Next up is Illusioner, which hopefully they'll introduce someday since they have introduced a lot of other types of villagers into the game. I feel like he could definitely go in with the raids, especially on like the last wave. Then the next one in his group is a slime, but it has a size that doesn't naturally spawn. So there's a couple different sizes that spawn in the game. I think it's like 0, 1, and 3. I think this is like size 2. Yeah, you can see this is size 2. This one doesn't actually spawn in the game. And the next one in this group is Gordy. As you guys know, Gordy is the avatar that I have on my YouTube channel. And Gordy's the evil guy that always is causing mischief and pulling pranks on everybody. And he'll often blame his mischiefs on me, which is pretty unfortunate. So if you ever see him like in the background of any of my videos, you know he's up to no good. And then we got the skeleton horse, and this is a baby skeleton horse. So since you cannot breed up skeleton horses, you cannot get the baby variation of them or the foal. And the last one in the mythical list is the Zombigan, which is one of the most feared creatures of all time. And you only really see this mob in the game if you would try to go ahead and summon in a chicken jockey, but do it in a snapshot where the game is completely messed up and you end up with a Zombigan like we did here. It was a lot of fun trying to figure out what category these guys should go into and choosing kind of these Pokemon type categories to put them into. Now I've also went ahead and made a Google Documents categorizing all the different mobs. So if you don't like to look at the actual mobs in game, you can look at the information here in the Google Documents. So here we got the common category, the uncommon, the rare, the epic, the legendary, and the mythical. And then I also colored the names. So like the green names are passive, the red are hostile, the blue are the water mobs, and then yellow here is the ambient. And I'll put the link to both this Google document as well as this world down in the description. And if you see some mobs that are missing here, or you think that we should move some of these mobs into a different category, or change the categories up altogether, you can leave some comments here on this Google document, or you can just leave them down in the comments of this video. And I really appreciate any input you guys have on this, as well as how we should categorize specific mobs, like the different variations of the tropical fish, or villagers with different variations of them. All the mobs in Minecraft categorized by how rare they are. So if you guys did find this video interesting, I really appreciate it if you would give it a like and share it with somebody. And if you haven't already, be sure to go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell button to get notifications. And I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.